You must be shocked to know that there are some creatures that actually take off their head, place it on their laps in order to braid their hair. In the heart of Ibadan, where ancient hills roll across the landscape of Oyo State, St. Catherine's Girls' Boarding School stood as a testament to tradition and excellence. The school's wrought iron gates, weathered by decades of tropical seasons, opened to reveal a world where discipline and learning danced in perfect harmony. Each morning, as the sun painted the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks, its rays would catch the whitewashed walls of the colonial-era buildings, making them glow like beacons of hope and possibility. The school grounds were a carefully cultivated paradise, where flowering bougainvillea climbed the walls in vibrant cascades of purple and pink. Ancient mango trees lined the pathways, their thick canopies providing shelter from the fierce Nigerian sun. These trees had witnessed generations of girls transformed from timid first years into confident young women, their branches heavy with both fruit and secrets. Inside the compound, order reigned supreme. The dormitories, arranged in neat quadrangles, housed hundreds of girls who moved through their days with clockwork precision. Their crisp blue and white uniforms, pressed to perfection, rustled as they hurried from morning assembly to classes, their black shoes clicking against the well-worn paths. The sound of their footsteps mixed with the distant chiming of the chapel bell, creating a symphony of routine that echoed across the grounds. St. Catherine's wasn't just a school, it was an institution that prided itself on molding character. The teachers, many of whom had themselves been students within these hallowed walls, carried themselves with dignity that commanded respect. They moved through the corridors like guardians of an ancient tradition, their voices firm but fair as they guided their charges through both academic rigors and life lessons. The school's motto, excellence through discipline, wasn't just words carved into the stone arch above the main hall, it was a living philosophy that breathed through every aspect of daily life. From the way the girls made their beds in the morning corners tucked with military precision to the manner in which they conducted themselves during mealtimes back straight, voices measured, every action was a reflection of the values St. Catherine sought to instill. Yet beneath this veneer of strict order and tradition, the school pulsed with the vibrant energy of youth. In the evenings after classes ended and the sun began its descent behind the hills, the air would fill with the sound of laughter and chatter. Girls gathered in small groups under the mango trees, sharing stories and dreams, their voices carrying on the warm breeze that swept through the grounds. It was in this environment, where tradition met youthful spirit, that our story begins, a tale that would become part of St. Catherine's rich tapestry of legends, whispered in dormitories long after lights out, passed down from one generation of students to the next. A story about a girl named Romok, whose presence would challenge everything the other students thought they knew about reality. Romok moved through the halls of St. Catherine's like a gentle breeze, quiet yet unmistakably present. Her footsteps, though soft, seemed to carry a rhythm that drew others' attention without demanding it. She had a way of entering a room that made everyone feel at ease, as if her mere presence could calm the chaos of a busy school day. Her smile, when she chose to share it, held warmth that reached her eyes, creating tiny crinkles at the corners that spoke of genuine kindness. Teachers often found themselves pausing mid-lecture to nod approvingly at her attentive posture and thoughtful questions. They would later gather in the staff room, sharing stories of her impeccable homework submissions and the way she helped struggling classmates without making them feel inferior. Even the strictest instructors, known for their unyielding standards, softened their expressions when speaking of Romok. But it was her hair that truly set her apart from every other girl at St. Catherine's. It cascaded down her back like a waterfall of obsidian, catching light in ways that seemed to defy physics. Each strand appeared to hold the depth of a moonless night, yet somehow shimmered with an inner luminescence that drew gasps of admiration from her peers. The thickness of her hair was remarkable, but even more striking was its texture, silken and smooth, moving like liquid shadow when she walked. Every Monday morning, Romok would arrive at morning assembly sporting a new hairstyle that left both students and teachers in awe. One week, her hair might be woven into an intricate crown that seemed to float above her head, each braid precisely placed as if crafted by invisible hands. The next week, she might appear with a cascade of perfect twists that spiraled down her back in mathematical precision, each coil catching the light at exactly the same angle. What puzzled everyone most was her absence from the usual hairstyling routines that dominated school life. While other girls spent their Friday afternoons lined up outside Mama Ojo's salon, chattering nervously about their turn in the styling chair, Ramok was nowhere to be seen. She never joined the long queues, never participated in the communal hair washing sessions, and yet every week, without fail, her hair appeared immaculately styled according to the prescribed regulations. The mystery of her hair maintenance became a favorite topic of dormitory whispers. Girls would speculate in hushed tones about how she achieved such perfection without any visible effort. Some suggested she woke before dawn to style it herself, while others wondered if she had access to a secret stylist. But Ramok simply smiled at their questions, her eyes twinkling with an unspoken secret that only deepened the intrigue surrounding her presence at St. Catherine's. At St. Catherine's, Friday afternoons belonged to Mama Ojo. Her small salon, tucked into a corner of the school grounds near the dormitories, became the epicenter of social life as girls gathered for their weekly hair appointments. Mama Ojo herself was an institution within an institution, a woman whose skilled hands had styled the hair of generations of St. Catherine's students. Her petite frame belied her commanding presence, and her voice, sharp as a whip but warm with wisdom, could silence even the most talkative students. The ritual began right after classes ended. Girls would stream into the salon area, their voices mixing with the scent of hair oils and the gentle hum of fans working overtime in the Nigerian heat. Those waiting their turn would spread out on wooden benches, homework balanced on their laps, stealing glances at Mama Ojo's progress on each head. The salon became a confessional of sorts, where secrets were shared, gossip exchanged, and friendships forged under the watchful eye of Mama Ojo, who seemed to hear everything while pretending to hear nothing. "Sit still," child Mama Ojo would command, her fingers working with practiced precision. "Beauty requires patience," her words, repeated so often they had become a salon mantra, would float through the air as she transformed unruly hair into perfect rows of braids or elegant twists. Each style was executed with mathematical precision, her decades of experience evident in every movement. The social hierarchy of St. Catherine's played out in these Friday sessions. Prefects received priority treatment, followed by senior students, then juniors. Yet even this strict order had its own informal economy. Girls would trade places in line, offering future favors or help with homework in exchange for better slots. When Ramok and Dolapo first arrived at St. Catherine's, they found in each other a refuge from the overwhelming newness of boarding school life. Their friendship blossomed naturally, like two seedlings sharing the same patch of sunlight. During those early days, their differences complemented each other perfectly. Ramok's quiet grace balanced by Dolapo's vibrant energy, their shared laughter echoing through the dormitory halls late into the night. Enter Yemi, the social prefect, whose role in this weekly pageant was both envied and feared. Every Friday morning she would stride into the assembly hall, her clipboard clutched importantly to her chest. The entire student body would hold its breath as she announced the approved hairstyle for the coming week. Her proclamations carried the weight of law. Next week's style will be the princess crown, 2 layers of cornrows circling the head, ending in a neat bun at the nape. These announcements were met with a predictable chorus of reactions. Groans would emerge from girls known for their thick, resistant hair, while those blessed with more manageable locks would smile smugly. Whispered calculations would begin immediately. Who would need to wake up earliest to secure a prime spot in Mama Ojo's line? Who might need to beg for help from more skilled friends? Yet through all this weekly drama, one student remained conspicuously absent from the ritual. Ramok never joined the queue, never participated in the trading of spots, never showed any concern for Yemai's announcements. And still, every Monday morning, her hair would be styled perfectly, mysteriously, leaving everyone to wonder about her secret. In the sanctuary of their shared bunk space, they would whisper their deepest secrets long after lights out. Dolapo would share stories of her family's bustling compound in Lagos, painting vivid pictures of her numerous siblings and the chaos of city life. Ramok, in turn, would speak softly of her homeland, though she remained mysteriously vague about certain details. These conversations, wrapped in darkness and trust, formed the foundation of what both girls believed would be a lifelong friendship. Their bond strengthened through shared experiences, the strict routine of morning assemblies, the challenge of adapting to institutional food, and the comfort of having someone to sit with during study periods. They developed their own secret language of glances and gestures, communicating across crowded classrooms with just a raised eyebrow or a subtle smile. Together, they navigated the complex social hierarchy of St. Catherine's, finding strength in their partnership. But as the terms progressed, something began to shift, subtle at first like a shadow lengthening with the setting sun. Dolapo couldn't pinpoint exactly when she first noticed the change. Perhaps it was during morning assembly, when she realized more heads turned toward Romok than ever before. Or maybe it was during class discussions when teachers' eyes lingered appreciatively on her friend's perfectly styled hair, while Dolapo sat unnoticed in her shadow. The jealousy crept in slowly, like poison seeping through clear water. Dolapo began to notice how other girls gravitated toward Romok during break times, how they sought her opinion on everything from mathematics to fashion. Even Dolapo's clever jokes and outgoing personality seemed to fade into the background when Romok was present, her quiet magnetism drawing attention effortlessly. What had once been a comfortable silence between them grew heavy with unspoken tensions. Dolapo's friendly teasing took on a sharper edge, while Romok's gentle smiles became more reserved. Their late-night conversations dwindled, replaced by the weight of things unsaid. Dolapo found herself lying awake, listening to Romok's steady breathing from the bunk above, wondering how their once close friendship had transformed into this strange dance of distance and longing. The final threads of their friendship unraveled quietly, like a loose stitch gradually coming undone. Neither girl acknowledged it openly, but both felt the growing chasm between them, a space filled with Dolapo's mounting resentment and Romok's unspoken secrets. Obsession has a way of consuming the mind, transforming casual curiosity into burning need. For Dolapo, the mystery of Romok's hair evolved from mere wonder into an all-consuming fixation. Each perfect hairstyle that appeared on Monday mornings drove splinters of jealousy deeper into her thoughts, until she could think of little else but uncovering Romok's secret. The breaking point came after Yemi announced the waterfall crown style, an intricate pattern so complex that even Mama Ojo had frowned at its mention. Yet Dolapo knew, with bitter certainty, that Romok would appear on Monday wearing it flawlessly. That night, as she lay in her bed listening to the familiar sounds of the dormitory settling into sleep, Dolapo made her decision. She would discover the truth, no matter the cost. Planning required patience. Dolapo spent nights studying Romok's patterns, noting the subtle signs that preceded her mysterious disappearances. She trained herself to stay awake, fighting against exhaustion as she waited for the perfect moment. The darkness became her ally, teaching her how to distinguish between genuine sleep and pretense in her dormitory breathing. When the moment finally arrived, it came with the silence of midnight. Dolapo watched through half-closed eyes as Romok rose from her bed, moving with ethereal grace through the shadowed dormitory. Her heart thundering in her chest, Dolapo followed, her bare feet silent against the cold floor as she trailed her former friend through the darkened corridors. The bathroom door creaked softly as Dolapo pushed it open, and what she witnessed there shattered her understanding of reality. Romok sat in the center of the room, bathed in moonlight streaming through the high windows. With movements as natural as breathing, she reached up and twisted her head, lifting it from her shoulders as easily as removing a hat. Horror froze Dolapo's breath in her lungs as she watched Romok's headless body continue to move with precise purpose. Those graceful hands lifted the detached head, placing it gently in her lap like a precious offering. Then, with impossible dexterity, her fingers began to weave and twist her hair into the intricate pattern of the waterfall crown. A haunting melody filled the air, though Romok's lips remained still. The sound seemed to emerge from the very walls, an ancient lullaby that spoke of secrets older than the school itself. Dolapo stood transfixed, unable to move or cry out as she watched the supernatural ritual unfold before her. In that moment, she understood that some mysteries once revealed can never be unknown, and some knowledge changes us forever. In the moonlit bathroom, time seemed to freeze as Romok's dark eyes fixed upon Dolapo from her detached head. The silence that followed felt like a physical weight, pressing against Dolapo's chest until she could barely breathe. Then, impossibly, Romok's lips curved into a gentle smile, the same smile that had once brought such comfort to their friendship, now transformed into something otherworldly and terrifying. Well, Romok spoke, her voice carrying the same soothing quality it always had, though it emerged from a head cradled in her own lap. I suppose you finally discovered my secret. The casualness of her tone made the scene even more surreal, as if having one's head detached was as ordinary as borrowing a pencil during class. With fluid grace that defied natural law, Romok's hands lifted her head toward her neck. Dolapo watched, paralyzed with fascination and horror, as the head reconnected with a soft click that echoed through the bathroom. The sound sent shivers down Dolapo's spine, a physical reminder that what she was witnessing was terrifyingly real. Rising to her feet, Romok approached Dolapo with measured steps. Her newly attached head moved naturally, as though it had never been separated from her body. She reached out, her fingers brushing against Dolapo's cheek in a gesture that felt both familiar and alien. "You weren't supposed to see this," she whispered, her voice carrying an edge of warning beneath its gentleness. "This must remain between us. You understand, don't you?" The words weren't just a request, they carried the weight of an ancient power, a command that seemed to sink into Dolapo's very bones. She understood with perfect clarity that this secret was now a burden she would carry forever, a knowledge too impossible to share yet too real to deny. In the days that followed, Dolapo moved through the school like a ghost, her mind constantly replaying the scene in the bathroom. Simple things became overwhelming: the sight of Romok in class, the casual way she turned her head to answer questions, the perfect arrangement of her hair that now held such horrifying significance. Sleep became elusive, haunted by the soft click of head meeting neck, the ancient melody that had filled the air. The weight of the secret transformed Dolapo's world. Everything she had once believed about reality had been upended, leaving her adrift in a world where the impossible lived and breathed beside her. She found herself watching other students, wondering what secrets they might harbor behind their ordinary faces. The boundaries between normal and supernatural had blurred, and Dolapo could never go back to the comfortable ignorance of before. Life at St. Catherine's continued its rhythmic pace, but for Dolapo, everything had changed. The familiar routines of school life now felt like an elaborate performance, with Romok at the center of a play only Dolapo truly understood. Each morning, as students gathered for assembly, girls would still cluster around Romok, admiring her latest hairstyle with whispered praise and longing looks. But now their innocent amazement made Dolapo's stomach turn, if only they knew the truth behind that perfect crown of braids. In classes, Romok maintained her quiet excellence, answering questions with the same gentle confidence she had always shown. Teachers continued to praise her impeccable work, and students still sought her help with difficult problems. Yet beneath this facade of normalcy, an invisible current of tension crackled between the two former friends. Each time Romok turned her head to write on the blackboard, Dolapo found herself flinching involuntarily, remembering the soft click of bone meeting bone in the midnight silence of the bathroom. The burden of knowledge transformed Dolapo's social life. She began withdrawing from her circle of friends, finding it increasingly difficult to engage in normal conversation when such an extraordinary secret consumed her thoughts. How could she laugh at lunchtime jokes or gossip about weekend plans when she knew that walking among them was something that defied the very laws of nature? Her once vibrant personality dimmed, like a bright cloth fading in the sun. Other students noticed the change in Dolapo, but they attributed it to typical teenage moodiness or academic pressure. They couldn't see how the weight of the secret had settled into her bones, changing the way she moved through the world. Even simple things became complicated. Every mirror reflection made her question reality. Every casual head movement reminded her of that impossible night. The psychological impact ran deep, altering not just her present but reshaping her future. Dolapo developed a heightened awareness of the thin line between the ordinary and the extraordinary, always wondering what other impossible things might be hiding in plain sight. This awareness followed her beyond St. Catherine's walls, coloring her perceptions of the world long after she left school. Years later, whenever Dolapo caught her reflection in a mirror while fixing her hair, she would remember that moonlit night in the bathroom. The memory never faded. It remained as sharp as the click of Romok's head reattaching to her neck, a permanent reminder that some secrets change us forever. The story of Romok lived on long after both she and Dolapo had left St. Catherine's, weaving itself into the rich tapestry of school legends that passed from one generation to students to the next. During evening prep, when the library grew quiet and shadows lengthened across ancient wooden tables, older students would whisper to wide-eyed juniors about the girl whose hair defied explanation. Over the years, theories multiplied like ripples in a pond. Some said Romok had been blessed by a river goddess, her perfect hair a gift from the water spirits that was said to dwell in the streams running behind the school grounds. Others claimed she had inherited ancient magic from her grandmother, who was rumored to be a powerful priestess from a remote village. The more practical students suggested she had a secret arrangement with a master stylist in town, though no one could explain how she managed to slip away unnoticed every week. These stories evolved with each telling, growing more elaborate as successive generations of students added their own embellishments. Soon, Romok's legend became intertwined with other school mysteries: the unexplained footsteps in the old dormitory wing, the strange lights sometimes seen in the chapel at midnight, the haunting melodies that seemed to float through the corridors during full moons. Teachers and staff came to treat the Romok stories as they did all school folklore, with knowing smiles and gentle dismissals. Yet even they couldn't help but pause sometimes, remembering the girl whose presence had left such an indelible mark on St. Catherine's history. The older staff members who had known her would exchange meaningful glances whenever her name came up, as if they too held pieces of a puzzle they couldn't quite solve. Dolapo, true to her unspoken promise, never revealed what she had witnessed that night in the bathroom, even decades later when her own daughters attended St. Catherine's and came home buzzing with variations of the Romok legend. She would simply smile and listen, letting them wonder at the mysteries their school contained. The truth remained locked away in her heart, a secret that had shaped her life in ways both subtle and profound. And so Romok's legacy endured, her story becoming part of the very foundation of St. Catherine's, as essential to the school's character as its ancient mango trees and morning bells. In the end, perhaps that was the true magic, not just the supernatural act itself, but the way it transformed into a story that bound generations of students together, reminding them that even in the most ordinary places, extraordinary things could happen.